Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you guys want to check out my social media or check out a badass kick-ass original story, check out the links down in the description below. Hope you enjoy the video. So in my last review, I reviewed One-Eyed Jacks, and that was a film that Stanley Kubrick was supposed to direct, but Marlon Brando took over the chair. He also acted in it, but there was another film that Stanley Kubrick was going to make, and that film is called AI, Artificial Intelligence. Now, obviously, he did pass away before this film came out. This film, oddly enough, came out in 2001, A Space Odyssey, I know, and it was directed by Steven Spielberg, and I've heard a bunch of different things on why Kubrick didn't make this film. It was technology wasn't as advanced. He thought maybe Spielberg could do it more justice, do it better. I've heard a bunch of different things. I've watched a lot of Kubrick documentaries, so I've heard things about his Napoleon movie, Aryan Papers, and then AI. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things going around, and I'm pretty sure they're all probably somewhat true in their own right, but, you know, I'm not really too focused on that because Steven Spielberg did end up making this film. But there's an interesting thing, and I remember reading somewhere, and like I said, I don't like talking about things that I've read online because you really, you know, you can't trust everything that you see online, especially when you see a bunch of different things being said. Because I have, especially whenever it comes to AI. But anyway, so they said that the second half of the film felt like a Kubrick film, and the first half felt like a Steven Spielberg film. But Steven Spielberg tells people that, hey, the first half of the film is pretty much Kubrick word by word, and the second half is him. And I agree with Spielberg because the first half of this film felt straight Kubrick, straight Kubrick. I mean, it was 100% Kubrick, especially the scene with the car driving down the forest road, that futuristic car, and the scenes of them being inside. And then you have the boat scene where it reminded me of a lot of Barry Lyndon. So much of Barry Lyndon with Teddy and the child and the mother, you know, in the boat. Reminded me so much of something Kubrick would do. And that's one thing about Kubrick's films, if you've noticed, is a lot of his films sort of take place in one area. Maybe not one area the whole film, obviously, but there's not really a bunch of different locations you go to. Barry Lyndon, yes, you kind of did, and Full Metal Jacket, of course, but if you look at like films like The Shining, and you look at films like Clockwork Orange, 2001: A Space Odyssey, you look at films like that, you don't really go to too many places, and that's what this film reminded me of. Is you have this big futuristic world at the beginning, but yet you're just spending all this time in this one house, you know, and it works really well because he puts a lot of detail in the you know, just the set and the production, and you know, costumes, especially that futuristic car, which did kind of look silly, but I'm saying this as Steven Spielberg being the director. But like I said, from the screenplay, if it is word by Kubrick, I can definitely understand that. And the first half of this film is actually my favorite half. The second half is still really good. It really is. It's still a really, like, it's really strong, especially when you get to the part, which I don't want to spoil it, but there is there's definitely a first half and a second half of the film. Like, the second half of the film almost feels like a completely different film, almost in a way, like, and I hate to keep comparing it to something Kubrick's done, but Full Metal Jacket, where you've got this first part and then you've got the second part, and that's how this film is. The second part is a lot wider, it's a lot bigger. The scope of the film, the scope of the story, the scope of, you know, just the overall film is a lot bigger. They're doing a lot more things. And, you know, I would like to say that they could have kept the pacing of the first half on up until the end. But I really do enjoy Spielberg's direction that he took the film in. I really think he took it in the right direction. I think it's just, overall, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting sort of, when you hear the words AI, or I guess the letters AI, or you hear the words artificial intelligence, you would probably think of this big, vast epic. And I don't want to say this film isn't a vast epic, but a lot of the sort of story beats and sort of the story moments are a lot more tame than what you would think they are. Like for instance, the Blue Fairy. They focus a lot on the Blue Fairy, and then you've got this scene with the Albert Einstein. It's very lighthearted, and it's a very linear tale. Like, you've got this, and they're going there. You know, they're just straight stretch, and it's just pretty much their adventure towards the end. And I really did. I think, like I said, the direction in the second half was much needed, because the first half, it is very slow. There's not really too much that goes on, but there's also these little, there's these little moments that obviously sort of speed up the film, especially the birthday party scene. But yeah, I say that I like the first part of the film better, which I did. I did like the first part of the film a lot better than I did the second half. But the second half is very needed. This is probably going to be a lot of people probably will disagree with me on this, but I wasn't a big fan of the ending of the film. I really wasn't. I don't know. It worked. It was good. It was twisty, and it had a lot of layers to it. The ending has a lot of layers to it. It's really cool what they did, but I just wasn't really that big of a fan. I wasn't really that invested towards the end. I did feel like it dragged just a little bit. But overall, I really did enjoy AI. I was pleasantly surprised. This is one of those films that I've actually had, well, that I've actually had in the movie pile for a while. I've had it in there for a little bit, but I just never checked it out because I wanted to wait. And I, figured it was the right time to check it out. It was last week, and I'm satisfied. I really am. It's got Jude Law, and it's got the one kid, Haley Joel Osment. I think that's how you say his name. The kid that never ages, but he has. If you actually look him up, he actually has aged. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking out Artificial Intelligence. And if you're a big Kubrick fan, seriously, definitely check it out. I'm sorry that I compared it a lot with Kubrick. It just, because I've listened to so much about this film, right? And they discuss Kubrick heavily in it, and that's probably my fault for listening to those and then watching this. But keep in mind, this is a Steven Spielberg film, and Steven Spielberg's direction throughout this film is absolutely fantastic. I hope you guys don't think that I'm completely overshadowing Spielberg, because this film wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for him. And the decisions, the direction in the second half, while I might not be the biggest fan of it compared to the first half, I still really did enjoy it, and I feel like Spielberg definitely did do the film justice. Seriously, I love Spielberg as a director. This film was right up his alley. It was something that he needed to make. And a part of me thinks that, yeah, I do believe Spielberg could have handled this better, because this is right up Steven Spielberg's alley. Anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed this review, maybe hit that like button and subscribe. I hope you guys are staying safe wherever you guys are at. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.